This is a new voice for a new Scotland.
Okay, so welcome back to the second part of the COVID-19 and disability and all. And on this podcast, we'll look at some of the issues, some of the barriers that are facing people with disability. You may remember on the first episode, I was joined by Chris Baird, and believe it or not, he's back again. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Michael. You're a glutton for punishment.
Exactly, yeah, or maybe you are, I'm not sure. So thanks for coming back and giving up your time, because I know you're a busy man. How are you keeping, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, Michael. Yourself?
Yeah, just getting by, doing work for Indie Live and also other podcasts that I'm doing as well. And you've been busy as well, Chris, but obviously we'll speak about that in a wee while. But yeah, I mean, the weather's been pretty decent outside as well.
Well, it was up until this week. Yeah, it was. We actually had some summer weather. Hopefully, it's not the last of it. So.
And believe it or not, the last time we spoke, it was about during lockdown. But since then, some of the kind of lockdown restrictions has been slightly kind of lifted a wee bit.
Yeah, I think we've now moved into the first phase of 4, I think. Although I don't think that it was helped by the good weather at the weekend, and it's seen that, you know, Loch Lomond and places like Troon and other beauty spots and popular sites were really busy with people who were obviously not paying attention to the 5-mile limit that you were supposed to travel to. So I think we heard the First Minister saying this week that it might have to get put into law, the 5 miles, if people keep flouting it.
Yeah.
So I think the danger is we were in lockdown and it was a very clear message: stay at home and only go out for the essential, whether it be work, food or medicines. And it was a simpler, easier message to follow, unless you're Dominic Cummings, obviously. And when you move to the, this first phase, it's more subtle. So, it's harder, I think, for people to follow, and it's a wee bit more ambiguous. Although I think the Scottish Government have been quite clear in their messaging, although I don't think the same can be said for the Westminster Government, especially in light of the Dominic Cummings events, which I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disgrace, wasn't it? Because I know that me and also you had a friend that passed away, and I had a friend that passed away early on with survivors, and we couldn't get to the funeral because obviously they were numbered to 10 people or something like that, and he's away gallivanting to different places, and you're thinking, well, if one rule for one and one rule for the other, and it's not very fair,
No, far from it, and I think that's why there's such anger about it. And also, I think what people are angry about as well is the blatant lies that they're telling us. They're treating us like mugs, they're treating us like idiots. And, with the excuses he came up with, he quite clearly broke the rules on numerous occasions. And Westminster Government minister after minister came on to defend the indefensible, and it's shocking. And I think it's just another reason why we need to get away from the UK and become independent. Hopefully it will let other people see that that's the way we think it's the best option for us. And I've been encouraged talking to some people that I know who probably, it'd be fair to say, weren't particular fans of Nicola Sturgeon previous to the crisis, the COVID crisis, but even they're starting to see now that they've gained a bit of respect for her and how she's been dealing with it, or at least how she's been communicating it. So I think that's positive in the sense that it might shift some of the soft nose closer to our position. Again, independence isn't just about Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP, as we well know.
I suppose, like, I don't know about you, Chris, but I kind of take time out to watch Nicola Sturgeon's news briefings as well. And also what we were talking about in the last show was they're very accessible, more than I can say about Westminster in a kind of way. But I think it was an interview I saw a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was the National that put it out, and it was a poll between Nicola Sturgeon and Boris Johnson, who's been doing the news briefings, and Nicola Sturgeon's miles ahead of Boris Johnson. But what I would say is Boris Johnson's never at the UK press conference, and you're thinking, well, it's a big issue. People's actually dying in your own country, down in London, and you've not got the balls or capacity to turn up. So Nicola Sturgeon gives up an hour over half of her time. And when you listen to some of the questions, Chris, some of the questions are absolute rubbish, but Nicola Sturgeon makes them look as though, that was a stupid question I can ask. Because, I mean, one of the questions I saw today before I spoke to you about was, would Scotland become independent by 2023? And Nicola Sturgeon basically said, this is a crisis. My focus isn't on independence at the moment. It will be, and obviously I'm a big kind of, I want Scotland to be independent, but at the moment my focus is on trying to get the R number down a big bit and all that,
Yeah, I think, he's been missing in action, Boris Johnson. And I think we know the reason for that. He can't handle scrutiny. He can't handle scrutiny. Not that he's getting much from the mainstream media, to be honest.
No.
It's a bad day when Piers Morgan's one of the leading journalists that's holding the government to account. But credit to him, at least he's asking the questions that a lot of the other journalists aren't asking. And I think, what this crisis has clearly shown is that Boris Johnson's well out his depth. I think we all knew that anyway, but it's just magnified it and really shown it that he just can't deal with it. He can't handle scrutiny. Can't handle scrutiny at Prime Minister questions. And, I see him when he was coming out and blatantly lying and defending Dominic Cummings, and then he accuses other people are politicising it. Well, I think the only person that's politicised it is Boris Johnson, and that's a deliberate tactic because he can't defend what Cummings has done and his excuses for it. But I think the difference as well is with Nicola Sturgeon and Boris Johnson. I know you said that Nicola Sturgeon's ratings have come out a lot higher. Well, that wouldn't be difficult. That's a kind of low bar when you're against Boris Johnson. But up until with Dominic Cummings, his ratings were quite high, even though, let's be fair, it's been handled disastrously right from the outset. What I find quite striking is, the UK is meant to be one of the 5th, 6th largest, richest economies in the world, yet you look at Vietnam, a country of 90 million people next door to China, and they've had no deaths because they started a test, trace and isolate right from the outset. And also somewhere else, Kerala, which is a state in India next to Goa, again in early January when they seen what was happening in China, they started a test, trace and isolate right from the outset. And they've got a population of 35 million. And because they started earlier, their death rate's been in the low hundreds. And yet here we are, the death toll is at least 60,000. It's absolutely shocking. We're only second to America. Yet we've got a 6th of the population in America. So it's really poor.
I mean, I don't know about you, Chris. I mean, I don't watch the Westminster briefings. I've got nothing against people down in London, but to be honest, this is affecting people in Scotland, so we should listen to our First Minister. But when you look at the news briefings on the telly, when they have like a 2-second clip or something, you're never going to tell me they're 2 metres apart in that press conference. You know, in the kind of room, you're even lucky if they're even 1 metre apart, never mind 2 metres away. So, you know, that's another rule for somebody else, and you know, so it's just not adding up. And then the other thing this week is a Tory MP has got coronavirus now, but before that, the Jacob Rees-Mogg was asking people to come back. So God knows how many MPs has got the coronavirus now. If you see
Well,
that,
I think the reason that Rees-Mogg's he's wanting to get the Parliament back sitting rather than a hybrid, which was working perfectly well, is because he needs a baying crowd behind Johnson for the Prime Minister questions, because he needs them cheering him on, because he's been left naked when he's been getting held to scrutiny by Keir Starmer, who's you would expect as a top prosecutor is, the questions that need to be asked, and he's been found to be wanting. And it's just a pity that I think for the election in South that he wasn't in place before, and when because Corbyn really wasn't up to the job either.
No, but I mean, let's face it, Cliff. I mean, this setup that they had was decent because everybody's using technology. I mean, me and you are using it every day for my work and also for your work as well. But the bottom line is, Westminster don't even want to come into the 21st century.
Well, I think it's for the reasons that I said. There's no other justification for it. And the thing is, someone has said that if there was any other workplace, it was forcing their work back. And again, they're criticising their own advice, telling people to work from home where you can. Well, the majority of MPs that have been working from home, it's worked. It's not ideal, but you've got to adapt to the changing situation. And I think it's just what we've seen from this Tory government right from the outset, even during the campaign in last December at the general election. They can't take any scrutiny. Boris Johnson hiding in a dairy from Piers Morgan in Good Morning Britain as an example. Again, he wouldn't go on the Andrew Neil show either, because again, he can't deal with any decent scrutiny. He's just not fit for purpose. And I think the difference with Nicola Sturgeon as well, I'm not in the SNP, but I think the difference is that she's treating people like adults. I think there's still questions that are going to have to be asked once this is by way, because I think there has been mistakes made. And I think she has made a fair point, and she says it's all right looking back with hindsight, and maybe they made the decisions they did based on the information they had. And it's not for me to sit here and defend Nicola Sturgeon or the SNP. They're quite capable of doing that themselves. But all in all, I think they've done. She hasn't particularly, especially the briefings, and then she's done a good job, and she's been pretty straight. And I think you said some of the questions have been ridiculous. Again, they're the ones talking about independence. She's not mentioned independence. She's getting on with the job at hand, and she's been there 5-6 days a week. So you can't fault her workload.
I know,
for sure.
Yeah. No doubt we'll come back to this topic, Chris, in another podcast. But I was just going to move on to, this is Carers Week, and obviously the reason for doing this podcast as well, Chris, is just to highlight some of the issues affecting people with a disability. But as you know better than me, Chris, there's millions of awareness weeks, but I think that the carers one that needs to be highlighted this year, especially because of the coronavirus. And I'm not taking away from all carers, not that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like unpaid carers as well. The carers that doesn't get support, like self-directed support, whilst any kind of care organisations coming in. So it's Carers Week this week, the 8th to the 14th of June. So I guess I mean, what's your views on that kind of like situation, Chris, on kind of like unpaid carers?
Well, like you say there, the focus has changed a bit, and the perception about paid carers, you know, the frontline staff, whether it be nurses in the NHS or the social care workers, the paid care workers, you know, they haven't been valued by the Westminster government, that's for sure, previous to this, and to be honest, I don't think they will after it. I think things will just go back to the way it was. Constantly referred to as low-skilled workers, and it's not a low-skilled job, there's a lot of skill involved in being a carer, whether you're paid or not. But in regards to unpaid carers, well, unpaid carers save the country billions of pounds every year in providing that vital support that people need. And a lot of people aren't getting support up here in Scotland and elsewhere in the UK through social care, through the normal channels, because in effect it's been rationed. The eligibility criteria keeps getting ramped up, and it's just critical need that's getting met. So there's a lot of people falling through the gaps. And when people fall through the gaps, it's left to family and friends to provide that unpaid care, that informal care. And I think what this coronavirus crisis is, you know, highlighted is, especially here in Scotland, but right across the UK as well, I think that there has to be a total redrawing of the map of how social care is delivered and funded as well. Because I think a big worry for, you know, I think we mentioned it in the last podcast, I know in Glasgow there's been over 1,800 packages cut without much consultation, if any. And the concern for a lot of people is when their packages have been cut and when things get back to some sort of normal, whatever that was or is, but then people will be wondering, well, the authorities might turn and say, well, you managed without the care when we cut it during the corona crisis, so you can manage now once it's over because you managed without the support then. But, you know, I think we really need to start valuing carers, especially unpaid carers, for the invaluable work that they do.
And a lot of people forget, Chris, and I'm sure you're going to forget about it. It's like, if you're like a family member, like looking after your brother or your sister, you don't know what life's going to throw at you. So through life, at the same time that if you're looking after your sister or your brother, you might take no well as in get the carer. You know what I mean? So who's going to actually look after the person that you were going to be supporting in the first place?
Yeah, well, see, I've been very fortunate that I've never had a support package, and I'm fortunate I've not had a support package, but I've been fortunate that people have provided my support. I've been the people that love me, my family, my parents when I lived with them, and my partner, and when we started living together, and so I've been very fortunate that people that provide my support is people that love me, and I know that I wouldn't have anywhere near the quality of life and that I've had without the support that they've given me, the vital support, the day-to-day support, day in, day out, regardless of all the things that you just mentioned there that happen in people's lives as well. But the unpaid carers are always there, providing that vital day-to-day support for their loved ones, the people that they love.
See, I think that's why we're kind of picking this issue in a subject, but it really fits into everyday life. But I would say more importantly than now, because of the crisis that we're going through, whether it's in Scotland or England or anywhere else in the world, because there'll be unpaid killers kind of like everywhere. It's not just, tied down to Scotland, it's every part of life and every part of society as well. So I think that they should be recognised more, and I think that they should be valued more as well. But more importantly, what I would like to say, and I know I've said this to you for years, and you agree with me, but I would like to see more carers getting taken a bit more seriously about their job and what they do, because people don't realise it's a 24-hour job. Sorry, 24-hour job.
Yeah, that's unpaid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff, and more awareness raising has to be learned for that, I mean, I certainly know what I would like to see coming out of lockdown, but it's too long to explain in this kind of podcast. But I'm sure that you would be the same for disabled people, but also for carers as well. Like a better society for everyone, Chris.
Well, we live in hope for that, but
yeah,
I think
that happens.
I think experience tells us that I think the chances of that happening are highly unlikely.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen what happened in the financial crisis in 2008. We certainly didn't cause it, disabled people, but we certainly paid the highest price for it. And I don't see it being any different, to be honest, with this COVID virus crisis. But the deep societal inequalities are just going to grow and get bigger for disabled people. We're at the bottom of the list, as always, bottom of the agenda, and it's really frightening what's lies ahead, I think, for disabled people, not just in regards to support, but right across the board. And as the GDA have been doing a survey of our 5,000 members, more than 5,000 members, I think it is now. And I think what that's showing is that this is going to turbocharge the inequalities that disabled people face.
So, I mean, if you're listening to Indie Live this evening in the background, and I mean, I think, like me and Chris would like to say on behalf of people with a physical or learning disability, well done and keep up the good work, and we value your kind of work and stuff, and keep advocating like what you do, and hopefully when we come through this, we see a better kind of like system kind of like set up now, because it's partly broken before us, Chris, as well,
Admire your optimism, Michael.
Yeah, well, you've always got to be positive, but it might come back to bite me one day, I don't know.
The other part of that saying is, I admire your optimism, but I lament your naivety, but that's a bit cruel.
Yeah,
No, but I'd like to think it was an opportunity to address a lot of inequalities that were in society before this crisis, but I wouldn't hold my breath. But because I was just reading earlier today that the richest people in America have just increased their wealth during this lockdown and the start of that crisis, the COVID crisis, by $565 billion. They've increased the richest people. For instance, Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, his wealth since the beginning of the COVID crisis increased his wealth by $36 billion. His ex-wife has increased hers by $12 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, the
Facebook
chief executive and owner of Facebook, $30 billion. Elon Musk, who's just sent a space rocket up to the International Space Station, $14 billion, and even Bill Gates has increased his wealth by 11 billion. So that kind of gives us a flavour of what lies ahead when these people who are already fabulously rich beyond most of our comprehension have increased their wealth. Not that they have that 565 billion, they've increased their wealth by 565 billion. Absolutely shocking.
So
that's what kind of tempers my hope for the future, unfortunately.
Basically, what you've been saying for years, and I'll probably say it for years as well, that is, the richer gets richer and the poorer gets poorer, sadly. But
Yeah,
you could always live in hope, Chris.
Definitely, we'll try and be positive.
So moving on then, I saw on the news a couple of months ago that a Scottish technology company based in Edinburgh called Notebox has offered supermarkets across the UK free access to an app which the company claims can be removed from people having challenges, whether it's mobility issues or whatever, to go into supermarkets. So basically, this app, Chris, is designed for people with whether that could be sensory issues or different impairments, with kind of like social distancing rules as well, and also it gives you kind of like opening times as well, and also the app is designed for like key workers. So again, it's back to that carers, what we were talking about a minute ago. I think this is a good idea, Chris.
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of disabled people and older people have been experiencing barriers and issues about trying to access shopping. If you're in the shielding group or a high risk group and you're not going out, then people are experiencing problems trying to go online shopping, trying to get the slots. And then if people feel confident enough to go out, for instance, if someone's got a visual impairment, how are we going to be able to keep the 2 metre distance? So, and also if you've got a physical impairment and you need someone to get around the supermarket with you as well. So there is a lot of issues around that. So anything that can be put in place to make that easier is going to be welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reading here, Chris, that it's a free app as well, so you don't really have to pay for it at the moment.
Good.
So, and then obviously we were talking about people with disability, visual as well, but also people's got a disability, but that could be hidden disability. So that could be the ME or different types of different disabilities. So it's available to every kind of one. So they've not kind of like left anybody out, if that makes sense, and that's very good to see.
It's covering all impairments, yeah, definitely, because people are facing all sorts of different barriers when they're trying to, and as you said, about hidden impairments, that's important as well, because people might be doing stuff and folk might be thinking, oh, they're not observing the rules, and I think that happened earlier during lockdown with in regards to autism. So, no, I think hopefully this app will help make things a bit easier for folk, but I think it'll take more than an app. It's going to take a bit of coordination, working between the supermarkets and disabled people's led organisations as well. Because one of the things that I've think's been really poor is that the shielding list is very narrow criteria for people to get a letter for a shielding list. I consider myself to have a severe impairment, and I've been speaking to quite a few of my friends and colleagues in the GDA and other disability groups, and I don't know any who have received these shielding letters.
No,
so it means that people are slipping through the gaps for support from the Scottish Government or the local authorities. And I think we really need to widen the criteria for these letters. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure it was last week that there was over in Govan, the Salvation Army had been going around chapping the doors, seeing if some people were needing any help, support with stuff, and they came across a 93-year-old woman that hadn't eaten for 5 days because she was scared to go out. So many other people are like that.
Yeah,
They're falling through the gaps.
Yeah, and that's only one example, Chris.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's much, and many more out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, this kind of app as well, because I forgot to mention this as well. I don't know if you saw that. 75% of disabled people, right, have left shops disappointed because of poor customer service or disability awareness and understanding. But to be honest, 75's a lot, right? But 1%'s too much. And nobody should be credited to any poor support, whether that could be in supermarkets, on buses, taxis, and all the rest of it,
Well, as we look just now, we see what's happening in America with Black Lives Matter in regards to George Floyd, which was absolutely shocking and disgusting. And we've seen the wide protests, and rightly so. It's, but I think we need to let society know that disabled people's lives matter as well.
Yeah.
And we're facing discrimination on a daily basis as well. I think, we need to start highlighting that as well. Because it's really important.
Just quickly, I forgot to mention the website. So if anybody wants to download the app onto the phone or the onto the laptop, you can do that by going to the website. It's netbox.com, but you can also follow this company as well. And what I would say was this company actually designed different apps as well for disabled people, Chris. So, for instance, a couple of years ago, they designed an app for people with mobility issues reaching the traffic lights. So, if you want to cross road, you can actually work it from your mobile phone, and all you have to do is press this button, and the lights automatically go to red. Stop. So yeah, I mean, I would check it out, Chris, and that they're just in Edinburgh as well, so it's quite good. Another
sounds like they're doing good work there.
Yeah, and I hope they keep it up, because not any other companies has come up with that idea, sadly. So, and another company, we're not Edinburgh based, but this kind of company is based in Edinburgh, and it's making the first face masks for deaf people. That people has got a hearing impairment on they can't hear, or kind of like deaf and mute. So this is a kind of like company setting up in Edinburgh. So yeah, that's quite good to see. And the company is designing 200 masks a day, Chris. So that's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen that article, and the issue that's addressing is people with a hearing impairment who lip read. Obviously, if people are wearing face masks and they aren't able to lip read because they can't see people's lips, but these masks that they've designed have a clear plastic insert at where the mouth is, and so that people can still lip read and still be able to communicate. I think it's really poor in this country that I think it should be mandatory that we teach BSL in schools.
Yeah.
I think we forget how isolating that must be, not to be able to communicate with people. I think before we start teaching foreign languages in school, or other languages, French, Spanish, whatever it may be, which I think is a great thing, but before we're doing that, we should be teaching BSL so that people with hearing impairment can, more people are trained up and are able to communicate with people with a hearing impairment who sign. And I know that's not the only way to communicate for people with a hearing impairment, but I think it's one of the main ones.
And I suppose that's what we were saying in the last podcast that we did, Chris. I mean, the UK government can't even get a signer at their daily briefings. And
it's not that they can't do it, it's just that they're not doing it.
They're very ignorant. Yeah.
Disabled people aren't even on the agenda there.
No, exactly. And that, I mean, every day they've got his briefing, well, apart from Saturdays, but you know, and every day there's a signer there, you know, like 2 meters away. And when you look at the other devolved nations, sorry, they have like an interpreter as well, and Westminster sticks out there so firm because like they haven't got one, and that's very ignorant and stuff. But this company is working with different organisations in Scotland, Chris. See, that's one thing that I would love to see coming out of kind of lockdown, organisations working together more. At the moment, I feel as though in the kind of disability world that we're in, Chris, all the organisations are working separately, but not working together, if that makes sense. So with designing this kind of like face masks, you've got companies like, you know, Deaf Action Scotland, National Deaf Children's Society Scotland, Forth Valley, and also most important one for me is the Sensory Centre. I think they were on the TV last week actually, and also North England, London NHS Foundation. So they're working with a lot of different people, and that's very good to see kind of like joined up working as well, you know.
Yeah, coordinated work, that's good to see. But I think it's worth mentioning as well, but that up here, especially in Glasgow, that Glasgow Disability Alliance, GDA, say the Scotland's biggest disabled people's led organisation. They've been doing some real fantastic work up here in Glasgow. I think they've called almost 3,000 of them, 5,000 members. They've sent out surveys to all the members to find out what issues disabled people are facing, and they've made all these phone calls and given people that sometimes first point of contact that they've spoke to anyone, and they're doing fantastic work because it's a disabled people's led organisations. They know what disabled people need. They listen to disabled people because they're led by disabled people. They're also and they're bringing out a report which, as I said earlier, is highlighting that the inequalities that disabled people are facing are being turbocharged. And some of the other things that are highlighting through their survey when they're speaking to the membership is that over 76% of the people that I spoke to, the membership, feel that they need support and feel isolated. 37% of them don't have access to IT, and GDA are trying to help with that by trying to get funding and securing funding to get devices out to people so that they can. So they're doing a lot of great work. They're also getting digital support out to people so that they can take part in GDA activities, keeping disabled people connected. And they're doing a lot of stuff over Zoom, life drawing, Tai Chi, all different sort of activities, and also the theatrical wing of the GDA, the Purple Poncho players, we've been meeting up through Zoom as well, and we've got some new scripts coming out regarding how this crisis has affected disabled people. And there's also a new song out, so I would ask people to check that out. It's called Self-Isolating Blues, and I think Michael's going to put the link to it at the end of the podcast, so I encourage people to go and listen to that. So there is organisations doing good stuff, but like you say, when organisations can work together and coordinate, it is better, but there is organisations doing a lot of good stuff out there, like GDA.
And you've been involved in the Purple Pencil Players a few times, Chris. In fact, that one of the last big events I was at, I saw you at before lockdown. It was at the Self-Directed Support Scotland event, and you were performing at that.
Yeah, well, I think it was that was the last event that we performed public. I think it was the 9th of March. As you say, it was about SDS, self-directed support, and I think there's a Scottish Parliament inquiry into social care, and there was someone from a panel talking about that. But I think the person that was leading the inquiry was there as well, and they said that nothing was off the table, but again, they were talking about the old model, about everything that's been done through the local authorities, and I think there's other ways that it can do this. So, again, this crisis has just highlighted that we really need to radically change social care, how it's funded and how it's delivered in Scotland, and that's got to be a top priority when this crisis is over. Because again, it speaks about, we talked earlier about unpaid carers, and it's about how we value the people to provide that vital care, and it's also about the people who are receiving that care, how they're valued as well. Because I think to be a paid carer, you need more qualifications to be a hairdresser than you do to work in care. So that can't be right. So yeah, it's got to be a radical change regarding social care.
And what I would say,
it's not a cost; it's an investment as well. Because it enables people to lead an ordinary life, just like disabled people to lead an ordinary life, just like anyone else does, and do the everyday things that people take for granted, like going to visit family and friends, go shopping, being able to work, being able to participate and contribute in their local communities.
What I would say about the PPPs, Chris, Goose, come back to that for a minute. I've been to 2 events, but obviously you've been performing for years and years and years. But what I would say to people maybe like listening to this, it's very powerful because you're hearing it from like the horse's mouth, as it were. I'm not calling you a horse, Chris. I would call you worse than that.
That should call me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the back end. But like it's very powerful because it's people. It's in the Purple Poncho Players that has maybe experienced that and wanted to perform it, and like people like see whether it's at the different events that you go to, or else I know you've been to the Scottish Parliament.
Yeah, we've been here a couple of times, but all the sketches and songs and poems that we do are based on the members' experience, not just the Purple Poncho Players, but a wider GDA membership and the issues that we face, the barriers that we face. So it's all based on that, which makes it more authentic and real. And the reason it is powerful is because of that. And it's a great way to get a message across, because if you know yourself, if you try and do stuff that's death by PowerPoint, people switch off after a couple of minutes. But when you're using comedy and drama and music and poetry, it disarms your audience, and it's a really powerful way to get key messages across. And that's why we see soap operas, having issues, whether it's domestic abuse or mental health issues in their storylines, because it's a good way to highlight issues that people are facing. So no, it's a great thing to be a part of. I really enjoy it. It's really fulfilling and it's really empowering as well to be a part of that, doing stuff creatively. And we'll make continue, and it's great that we've managed to keep meeting up digitally every Monday to do our rehearsals for our work, because we had a few shows planned before all this started.
Okay, well, thanks for joining me again, Chris. It's been interesting as ever. talking about
Yeah.
just misses, but so you've been listening to Indie Live Radio with Michael McEwen and Chris Baird, speaking about the whole coronavirus bit round about disability. So yeah, we'll talk again soon.